can we?
Yeah, let me record. Let's start the meeting and then we'll have a short meeting and a conversation and at least it'll show that we've had the meeting. How about that?
We attempted to have a meeting. Okay, so can I start now?
You can start.
Okay. Good evening. I'm Marta Calderon. I am the secretary of the Latino Caucus. And today, Maritza Cermeño is traveling through Europe, having fun while we are here dealing with Zoom. And so I will be chairing the meeting tonight. I'm calling the meeting to order. And so it is, 7:26. And there is a message. Okay, 7:26. So I'm calling, since we meet online, after I call for a motion and a second to vote, rather than a vote, if there are no, there is an objection, I will call for a discussion and then in the agenda. Is there any second?
I second.
Okay. So any objections? Hearing no objections, the agenda is approved. Next, let's approve the minutes from the meeting of August 28th. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
So I move.
Are there any objections to accepting the minutes? Well, hearing none, the minutes are approved. And I propose that we dispense the normal order and need to accommodate for invited guests or visitors. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Hearing no objections, we will dispense the normal order. And so let's start. Let's go with brief introductions.
Okay, try doing that. We tried going to Microsoft meetings. I couldn't get in touch with you and it didn't work very well. So we're not going to use Microsoft. You'd have to log into the Zoom meeting. Or use one of the links that I sent. Yeah, any way that you try to get into the Zoom meeting. Okay, no problem.
Okay, let's try to use this time while he tries to log on.
Not a problem, Pat. Just
introducing ourselves.
Okay. Okay, bye-bye.
Well, I can begin myself. This is Leonel Rojas with the Latino Caucus. I do the social media, and also I am part of the Franconia data team. And I'm going to put in the chat the different links that we have for the media that we use, so you can go and check what we are publishing. So I'm going to put the links very soon. And that's going to be it about me.
So how about Cecilia?
Hola, Marta. Hello, everyone. Really happy to be here. New to the group, newish, and excited to be around. I live in Alexandria. I'm Peruvian and recently became an American citizen. Already had planned my early voting. I'm going to go next week with my neighbor. So, and I'm mom of a 3-year-old, and I work in an NGO, a nonprofit that does education programs. So that's me.
Thank you very much. So I guess, Tim, you're the next.
Hi, everybody. I'm also just a guest because I live in Arlington, but I'm happy to be here. I was with you last month, so I live in Arlington, and although I typically spend the summer in California, which is where I am until Monday when I return to Arlington, and I've set aside last year and this year and next year the whole month of October to volunteer full-time in the campaign. And I've always focused on Latino campaigning. My career was working in Latin America in the software business, and then as a U.S. Foreign Service Officer, meaning a U.S. diplomat in Latin America. So I've lived in Guatemala and Costa Rica and Brazil, and worked in most countries in Latin America. What I've been doing, what I did last year in North Carolina, I volunteered and went to North Carolina and worked that month in Latino organizing in the biggest market there is Charlotte, North Carolina. And so we learned a lot about how to canvass effectively to Latino voters using Spanish-speaking volunteers. So I'm trying to build on that this year in Northern Virginia to help Arlington County, Alexandria, Fairfax County, and anywhere in the vicinity to organize Latino or volunteers targeted at Latinos. I've been working with Jasmine Chavez Cruz, who you met last month, if you don't know her otherwise, to try and organize. And this week, Jasmine and I met with Walsh Powell, who I'll just give you a little update on what we've been up to. Walsh Powell is the director for organizing for the Virginia Coordinated Campaign. That is the Spanberger campaign for Northern Virginia. That means he manages the field organizers who are running canvassing and phone banks. We met along with Carla Bustillos and with Melody Gonzalez, whom I think some of you will know. And what were the Latino caucuses to the field organizing of the Spanberger Coordinated Campaign. And so what our next step is, we're aiming to identify key Northern Virginia precincts and neighborhoods with high Latino voter populations to target for canvassing with Latino and or Spanish-speaking volunteers, coordinating with the local Latino caucus and the responsible field organizers in the campaign, the Spanberger campaign for each area. So I would like very much to meet with someone from the Fairfax County FCTC Latino caucus to identify the most important neighborhoods to target. If you all could identify a person or persons who I should talk with and I could meet with, that would be great.
Okay, Tim, thank you very much. I think I will ask Lionel to share with us the information that you have, because he prepared what you just asked for TED for this presentation. So if you could, Lionel, give us an idea of what the precincts that we have that are the highest in Latino population, and we can continue working together with you because that information we have. And so the idea of the presentation today was that Ted was going to give us ideas on how to reach to those voters. So Lionel, would you please go ahead?
Yeah, well, yes, this is a document that I prepared for last year for the joint campaign, and I just updated it for Ted because he specifically requested some information, the same kind of information. And I'm gonna send it to you. Do we have your email, Tim? Or maybe you can write in the chat.
I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah, and essentially, Fairfax County is quite diverse, and the Latino population is about 18%, roughly 18%. We don't know exactly how much is the voting population of this population, Latino population, because the estimates that we have in VAN dealing with ethnicity are not very reliable. We can use them as a first approximation, but they are not very reliable. According to the census, the two major concentrations of Latinos in Fairfax County are, first of all, Mason, the Mason district, and the second is Franconia. But there are also important concentrations in within other districts. I particularly have to mention the Route Corridor 1, Route 1 corridor, which is quite important. But there are also many Latinos around, let's say, Route 7 in Mason, in some areas of Springfield, and in the villages also present. So I can send that to you, and you can look at that. Actually, the organizing person in Franconia for the campaign have been looking at that kind of information, and he have been able to cut some turfs in some heavily concentrated areas. We also look at van because we are looking, for us, the most important is the voter, and the
Right.
Latino voter follows of course, the population, but something that I have seen is that in many cases, the Latino voters are better off than the general population. They move to other areas.
Mm.
So it is important to follow the voter, and that's something that we have been doing also for just Franconia, because I work in data in Franconia, not in the other areas, not in the other districts. So there is some information that can help locate, areas of heavy Latino voting population. And then we have to organize the activity. Now, Ted, the topic of conversation was community organization or community organizing, and I don't know if that's the same as political organizing. I'm pretty sure there is some joins between the two: advocacy, community organizing, and political action. But essentially, I think that we will be very interesting to know what is his concept of community organizing, because at the end, all organizing, to have a minimal expression, has to be political. But anyways,
yeah, my conversation with Ted was about outreach to the Latino population, and so how to get to the population and make connections with these people and move them up to the point where eventually they will vote. So it's outreach.
yeah. Now, Ted, Tim, it will be very interesting to hear your experience, because, quite frankly, Marta and I and several other people have tried to do a sustainable organization, particularly in Franconia, of Latinos. And we have found that many people are not really interested in being part of a permanent structure. They want to help. If there's canvassing, oh, I can help. But they don't usually like to be part of a systematic organization with meetings and regular meetings and things like that. So it's something that we also would like to hear from you. What kind of techniques or what kind of approaches were useful in your past work?
If I can make a comment real quick, if y'all wouldn't mind, Maritza and I 4 years ago went through, and Tim, you're not aware, Route 1 corridor. On one side of Route 1 is Mount Vernon district, on the other side is Franconia. And that was something done when I was a teenager. Franconia needed more government money to build the overpasses for the interchange by Springfield. And so that side of Route 1 was given Franconia, even though there was no real way to get from, let's say, Costco on Route 1 over to Franconia. It was kind of an odd thing. Ted Loza just joined us. How about that? So I see him there.
Oh, that's very good.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a voice thing going. Anyway, Tim, so Maritza and I work mainly in the Franconia side of Route 1. Okay, we live in the Mount Vernon side. 4 years ago, we went through the two areas. We went through, Ted, I am so happy to see you. You just don't know. This is Gil.
I'm so sorry for the delay.
It is not your fault. We still don't know what happened, but I'll find out, tomorrow. I'll get in touch with the tech people and figure out why this happened. Anyway, it was just explaining some of the work that Maritza, my wife, who's the chair, and I have done in Latino communities along Route 1. And we went through the mobile home parks right behind Costco. And then we went through the apartment complexes just south of that, which is heavily Latino. And we would knock on the doors. My Spanish is not really great. She's also a lot cuter than I am, so she was getting a lot more door openings than I was. But what we discovered right away was that as soon as we explained, people said, "Oh, are you a citizen?" "Yeah, I am." "Have you registered to vote?" "No, I haven't." "We'd like you to register to vote." "I don't want the government to know any more about me." And as soon as we explained that states do voting, not the national government, not the federal government, only the state of Virginia gets your information when you register to vote, not the federal government, we would get applications. We pulled 200 new voter registrations out of those two areas in a weekend. So it's just one little piece that we kind of came across. So it's kind of interesting. And that's before, the what's going on right now, which is the fear leveling. Anyway,
Okay,
Marta,
so let's go back. Let's welcome Ted.
Yeah.
Ted, are you feeling like you want to talk?
Well, I can sort of sum up the presentation that I had. Since we couldn't get the meeting going, I'm at my daughter's school because she has a back to school night. And I just left the classroom so that I can be with you guys at least from here until 8 o'clock. This is important to me, of course. I think it's important to all of us. That's why we're having this meeting. And I had my notes, which I left at home, but I'll try to sum up some things and do this small presentation from memory. I wanted to speak about specifically all the data and the statistics that I was provided by, what was it, your husband, Marta?
Leonel, yes.
Leonel, yes.
Ted, give me 1 second. Ted, give me 1 second. Marta, if you would like, I'm going to try to arrange a special meeting and have Ted back. So we'll have an unscheduled meeting. Okay. So if you'd like to
I don't understand what you're saying, but
we'll try to have a meeting before the next meeting and have Ted there. So I'll arrange it with Ted, and then I'll try to arrange it with you and Maritza. Okay.
No problem. So,
okay, well.
So first of all, thank you for that information. It's such, there's so much rich context there that we can draw from. But in terms of organizing, and this is like, I have 4 different stages for this. The first stage is courting the community. The second stage is attracting them. Then having them sign on to our costs, and then how do we retain them and sustain the membership? This is something that I can speak with some authority because I did this before in the District of Columbia, where I gave you a little bit of my background. I worked there for the government for many years, and I was also the founder of the DC Latino Caucus, which the DC Latino Pact, which then morphed into the DC Latino Caucus because the state party always wants the caucus affiliations. And the way we signed up, in about 8 months, we signed up about 800 Latinos. Not all of them were members, but the caucus had in its rosters about 800 people in the District of Columbia. And out of these 800 people, about maybe 80 to 100 Latinos or people that were interested in the Latino community issues would show up to our monthly meetings. And this was not the state Democratic Party. This was just I'm talking only about the Latino caucus meetings. And so, as you know, it's hard to get people to a state Democratic meeting, let alone to a caucus meeting. So I think that was I grade that with a high rate of success.